Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Thursday, June 22nd, 2023, and welcome to a special edition of the Not Mind You podcast, where we are going to review The Flash, directed by Andy Muschietti, starring Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, Sasha Calle, to just name a few, and of course, written by Christina Hodson, John Francis Daly, and Jonathan Goldstein, released under the WB Universal banner as a part of DC. I'm TJ.
I'm Matt.
And let's get into it. The Flash. Not gonna lie, highly anticipated movie. For me personally, I can't speak for both of us, but I was like highly anticipating this only because I'm a fan of the hero. But
And you're an
um,
Ezra Miller apologist.
and an Ezra. Oh yeah, are we gonna? Do we want to handle that now? Ezra Miller,
Out on bail.
trash. Plays the Flash in the movies and apparently lives like the reverse Flash in real life. Um it was so frustrating. I think that's definitely the reason why it wasn't doing so well in the box office. But just to give a brief synopsis, it is literally right off the heels of Justice League. I'd say more so Snyder cut than the Justice League, the Joss Whedon version. But essentially what's happening now, right? Barry's fully in it. He's got a new suit. He's in the movie literally opens with him rushing to a coffee shop because he's low on calories. He's trying to grab some grub real quick to replenish his energy levels when he gets pulled into an incident that's happening in the Gotham City. And at this point, he is in Central City, right? So he jets over from Central City to Gotham. Meanwhile, this super slow barista is preparing a sandwich for him. So he does all this. Basically, a hospital is crumbling down while I think Batman is hunting down was it Falcone's eldest son who's on some dirt, basically has like some type of bio weapon that he shouldn't be handling right now. Batman's handling that
A
and
Falcone
causing
doing something illegal?
yeah, yeah, causing mad property damage, I must say, in typical Batman fashion, because every vehicle this man has is designed to keep him safe, but not his surroundings. But
Y'all outside with me.
right, right. But while that's going down, there's a hospital collapsing, and in true Flash fashion, it's like he's got to save the whole maternity ward with the like neonatal or the basically like all the newborns, right? He's got to save all of them at the same time. So that happens. He does his thing, wraps it up, right? Then we cut to him and Batman and Wonder Woman kind of meeting on a bridge. There's a little funny moment that happens. Then we get back to Barry's base, and actually before that, we get to see what his office space looks like, right? Because he gets back to the coffee shop, grabs his sandwich, then he goes over to the Central City Police Department where he's working in the crime lab. If you're familiar with the Flash, he's kind of like the lowest dude in the hierarchy in that he's always late. He gets little to no respect. He's got the insights, but it's all overshadowed by his lateness, right? We see the character of Patty Spivot, and then there's that famous Viner Rudy Mancuso who is somehow in this movie. I'm like, how did he get in here? But but yeah, cut to he's leaving Central City Police Department. He gets interviewed by Iris West, who apparently is trying to come at him like she wants to reconnect because they were friends in college, but really is just trying to get her hands on some info about his father's case, right? Because as you all know, Henry Allen is currently in prison for the murder of Nora Allen, but we all know that he didn't do it. And part of the reason why Barry does what he does is because at the end of the day, he's just trying to prove his dad's innocence, right? However, that conversation kind of leads to another conversation, and actually a side conversation that he had with Bruce, where he's like, "Hey, man, I think if I keep running, I can run fast enough to go back in time and change events, change traumatic events that have shaped us into who we are." And Bruce, in true Bruce fashion, warns him not to do it. Right? Barry's like, "No, bro, I think I can handle the variables. What you're saying is I just don't need to interfere." And side note, it's always funny, like whenever time travel is invoked, the go-to reference is always Back to the Future rules. Like it never fails. They always use Back to the Future rules, and it's like, hold on, that's a made up movie too, y'all. Like, why are you basing so much of your shit on anyway? But so that occurs, and then eventually it's like he talks on the phone with his pops. It gets him to a really down place, and while he's down, he just starts running. He runs, he runs, he runs. He just keeps running. He keeps running, like to the point where his eyes are closed. Now he's fully like emotional. He runs back to, well, actually, no, he ran back to his childhood home, relives the trauma of when his mom passed away, and that's what triggers him to start running as fast as possible, the fastest he's ever run. And sure enough, he enters the Speed Force. And I will say the Speed Force, like the special effects, the visual effects they used to show the Speed Force was really trippy and really cool at the same time. I actually kind of really like that. But as he's entering into the Speed Force, it's like he ends up in a chrono ball where you see him actually running backwards in place and rewinding events in time. And he's like, wait a minute, no way, no way. Then he has that conversation with Bruce again, and Bruce is like, you can destroy everything, dog. And thus is essentially the central premise, right? He's trying to rewind, get to that point where his mom just did not die. He wants to save his mom. He wants to save his mom, and through that, he thinks that he can also stop Bruce's parents from dying, so on and so forth. And therein lies the central premise. So fast forward, meets his younger self, meets his mom again. It was trippy. But while he's trying to run back in time, he encounters what appears to be a Black Flash. It wasn't, but sends him into the wrong timeline. He's there. He's got to do his thing. He loses his powers. Well, he essentially meets his younger self, tells them just enough to not influence his timeline too much, but just enough to be like, all right, I need your help. At this day, at this point in time, it was like September 29th, something like this, where I go get my powers. They go, young Barry gets the powers, old Barry loses the powers. They meet Batman. They need a Kryptonian because General Zod is back in the picture. Also, there was an interesting flashback, like I guess it's more of a retcon in that the Flash was active during the events of Man of Steel, which I thought was kind of cool. And then you saw his like little makeshift suit. So I did appreciate how they kind of did a Spider-Man Homecoming type, where it's like he had a real rough around the edges suit before it got to the state it's currently in. I always kind of appreciate how some of these newer superhero movies are like, yeah, there's no way a college student or a high schooler is a professional seamstress. Like, this is what they would have been able to do with their income level at that time. But I digress, right? So General Zod is back in the picture. They need a Kryptonian. The timeline has shifted. Okay, so the Kryptonian they get is Kara Zor-El, aka Kara, right? Supergirl. They meet Supergirl. Michael Keaton is Batman. You've seen the trailer. Shit goes down. However, it doesn't end up the way it is. Spoiler alert, right? They keep failing and failing and failing and failing, right? And this is after even they went and got future Barry or present Barry's powers back, which was wild, right? So they keep failing and failing and failing. Come to find out, the main antagonist of the film wasn't a Reverse Flash, wasn't a Black Flash. It was just young Barry. Young Barry overhears a conversation between Batman and the Flash talking about, yeah, my mom dies in this timeline. I was trying to prevent her death. And that causes past Barry to obsess over it and eventually just turn into, I will say, if you're familiar with the comics, almost like a Savitar or a version of what's the Reverse Flash that ended up being Iris West's brother. You know what I'm talking about? And it was like he had all that crunched up metal around him, and he was actually the Wally West's dad. Not white Wally West, I mean black Wally West. Like, that's his dad. I think it was like Daniel West. Yes. If you're familiar with Daniel West Reverse Flash, kind of like that in combination with a Savitar, but not Savitar from the comics, because Savitar from the comics look kind of native. Like, think Savitar from the CW Flash, right? That's the best way I can kind of describe the combination of things going on there. And he's been at it for like centuries at this point, right? Just trying to reverse the effects of Nora Allen dying. And every time he gets close to it, something happens, and he's like, I'm just about to get it right. So, long story short, in true speedster fashion, them trying to fixate on trying to prevent this event is causing the multiverse to collapse in on itself. All these worlds are getting destroyed, and we get one of the craziest cameos I have ever seen. So like I'm gonna just say it. Nicolas Cage from Superman Lives shows up in one of the multiverse, and I was like, "Excuse me." Um, but so
That
it
was
was
a
like
great reveal.
it was a great reveal. The trailers didn't give shit away. I was like, "Whoa." So like that's happening, and at the end of the day, the only way that this collapsing of the multiverse can be prevented is Present Barry and Past Barry got to let that go. They got to let their mama go. And so Past Barry sacrifices himself by getting killed by his older version of himself, right? And then Present Barry has to travel back to the point where he met his mom at the grocery store to bring the can of tomatoes into her cart. He pulls that back out, and all seems to be well. Cutscene. Oh, and he does one more thing too, where he moves the can of tomatoes back up to the top shelf so the security cameras can catch his dad looking up, and thus, vindicating him from all the charges of murdering his wife, right? Because he was at the grocery store at the time of the murder. So, cutscene to the courtroom. All is well. His dad is exonerated. We see Barry's talking to Bruce, like, Bruce, you were right, bro. I shouldn't have traveled with these forces that I don't understand, this, that, and third. And then he's like talking to Iris, and he's like, "Hey, yo, Iris, Iris is like, hey, ask me out on a date." He's like, "Iris, you sure? I am weird." And Iris was like, "No, it's okay, it's cool. Let's just go out to dinner." That's not how it happened. I'm just kidding. But they did set up the date. Yeah, kind of, right? They did set up the date. Then the craziest cameo of all, right? Bruce pulls up to the scene with the ceiling missing, right? He's got that Maybach Mercedes or whatever looking like a Batmobile onto itself. Guess who pops out? Not Keaton, not Affleck,
Val Kilmer.
not Val Kilmer, Bat Nipples. George Clooney pops out, right? So, hey, we don't talk about that Batman movie, and that's only one of the violations. Excuse me. George Clooney pops out. That's basically the end of the movie, right? I mean, there's a funny scene where Barry's front tooth pops out, but it's a callback to another scene. And then in the post credits, you see Aquaman being very drunk. But that was basically the whole movie. But yeah, I'm let's just get into the review right now. Matt, go ahead, give your thoughts.
I thought that a lot of things, at least for me personally, were kind of kept a secret ahead of time, which were good.
Yeah.
There were a lot of surprises. I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I literally was just going, blank slate, because at the end of the day, we've already been told ahead of time that this movie isn't going to affect the greater DC universe going forward. So I kind of came in with that expectation. I liked the updated version of some of the costumes, the quote unquote the Justice League fits. Batman going with the classic colorway of that gray and navy blue.
Yeah.
CGI on most. I mean, look, at the end of the day, CGI is something a lot of people talked about, but to me, the DC CGI has never really been great. So I already was walking into it with the expectation of like, I'm seeing a DC movie and their CGI.
As long as they don't do whatever the fuck that was in what was it, Justice League with Superman's jaw?
Come on, with that damn mustache.
That was just like, well, what? Anyway.
But yeah, man, like they did that. Like Wonder Woman's the only person in the Justice League wearing an actual costume. Everybody else got on like fucking green screen Lululemon and shit. But
green screen Lululemon is crazy.
But outside of that, I actually thought all the performances were pretty good. It was interesting to see Flash be put in a situation where he has to tolerate himself basically and understand that he had an irritant. I also was like, oh shit, he about to become Reverse Flash, but it's like, oh, okay, like there was no earbud thon and
such a tease.
It was definitely, they tease it a few times that he's about to become Reverse Flash. He even says it as a certain point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They pick up and play with a lot of things from Flashpoint Paradox. They change a few things.
Oh my goodness.
Like Kara being the Superman that they find.
Right. As opposed to it being emaciated Superman. Um,
Zod pulling up. I thought that callback to when Zod came was like
yeah,
really cool. They
yeah,
continuously are retconning that moment. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
They are. First, it
Like,
was like Batman v Superman. Now
mhm.
they're doing it in Flash. I can't think of any other moments. It seems to they're trying to make kind of a nexus point.
Their
Uh,
canon event.
yeah, 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 yeah.
um,
Um,
but yeah, man, I just thought the performances at the end stuff were on point. I felt like watching it that you could tell the people involved cared about the material. Like
yes,
from the casting choices to just, the performances people delivered, and even to the point of costumes and callbacks and those small things like that. I thought it was done really well. And Ezra Miller being able to
about to call him Esmeralda.
for
Call
real
them. Sorry.
play play the both of those roles so well. I don't know. It just I was happy with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I say all
Um.
that to say I was pleased with it.
Yeah. No. I. If you don't mind me going next, like,
Oh, go ahead.
I think overall I was very happy with the film. I truly enjoyed it. There was something about the goofiness of Passbury, albeit different timeline, where he had his mom with him the whole time, where he was like a complete dick. That was a little too forced.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like him constantly making the dick jokes or like saying like awkward shit for the sake of saying awkward shit was a little bit like, okay, we get it, bro. We get it. You're in college, like we get it, but like
You haven't been around a freshman?
yeah, but they're not talking like that like 24/7, bro. Like not maybe with their peers, but not like with a full-fledged adult. I don't know. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like there was something about that was like a little standoffish to me. Um but what I really liked is, man, the updated Flash costume. Bro, they pull that straight out of the comics. This
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of
New
the Jeff
52 as hell.
Jeff Johns, Francis Manapul, New 52 run of the Flash. Like the way the Speed Force lightning is dispersed in the costume, the way the lines come out like from the chest badge all the way out to the rest of the costume. I was like, dude, this is if you enjoyed that run of the Flash comic books, like this was for you. They did that for you. They did that shit. The costume was on point. Um, the using Michael Keaton instead of Thomas Wayne, interesting choice. I'm not mad at it.
Mm-hmm.
We also have to highlight that any of the fight choreo from Batman and Batman Returns has been uh revamped and almost like forgiven because of the fight scene they gave us with Michael Keaton's Batman suit in this one. This Batman actually fought. Like Michael Keaton actually fought it. Well, his stunt double actually fought in the suit. Like it's not it's not Batman v Superman Warehouse,
You got busy though.
but it was good. It was good. Like I rewatched the first Batman, I want to say a year or two ago, and I was like, Jesus, like this is all we had. Like this,
Mm-hmm.
for the you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, obviously too with the Dark Knight series and whatnot, we had some better Batman fighting, but my boy is pulling out spinning wheel kicks, like just jumping on folks. Like he was it was good. It was some good fight choreography. It was cool seeing the original Batmobile, although we never saw it in action.
Yeah.
It was cool seeing the Batwing, and it looked like it had some updates to it as well, or at least
Mm-hmm.
I guess because of technology being where it's at, we saw it way more in action than we had ever seen it before. Bro, Sasha Kaye as Supergirl, Kara Zor-El, bro,
Mm-hmm.
killed it. Like
I,
she came out pissed for a reason, and
yeah.
I I don't even know how to describe. It was just great, but I really didn't like the way their fate was kind of sealed by this divergent timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would like to think that there is a world where we still have this old man Batman and this version of Kara Zor-El, because the costume was on point, bro.
Yeah,
Like
everything was
everything
tight.
was good. Everything was good. I like that we saw Jay Garrick in that black and
Mm-hmm.
white silver screen, silver age, or I guess it would be the golden age Superman era. I like how we got the CG Christopher Reeves and the Supergirl from that era. Um,
I like the representation of what the Speed Force looks like in general, and then him being
yeah,
able to go back in time what that looked like.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was trippy as hell when they entered the Speed Force, but I was like, it was really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how he kind of how quick on the pickup it seemed that past Barry was compared to present day Barry. Because there were a lot of times where he's like, okay, this is what you gotta do. And he's like, nah, I already figured it out. Or he's like, you're not fast enough yet for this. He's like, nah, I think I am.
I'm going.
Right. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
it seemed like his aptitude for it was much better than Present Barry's. And then of course when Present Barry had to get his powers back, that was straight out of Flashpoint. That was
Mm-hmm.
straight out of Flashpoint.
Had
Like
to
to the
create
point
that
where
meth
he like
lab
had to,
explosion.
right, right. Tom, like that was him and Thomas Wayne. They didn't even show like the true aftermath where he's all bandaged up. Speed Force didn't kick in for a little bit, bro.
Yeah.
like that shit happened over a few days. When Barry got shot, he's like, "You didn't tell me you'd get shot." I was like, "Yeah, listen, bro, you actually had the easier outcome.
Yeah.
You're
Come
lucky
on, man.
Reverse Flash didn't come out here with the fucking rebar and just stab you through your leg. Had to limp through that shit." Um, yeah, but that being said, what this film didn't give us, it didn't show us how Barry's mom actually was killed. That's still up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Henry's
She
been
just had a knife in her
exonerated.
chest.
Yeah, Henry's been exonerated, but we didn't find out who actually killed her, right? I guess maybe they're saving that for another movie.
That's
Um,
not coming.
that's probably not going to come. I would hope, with all the controversy surrounding Ezra Miller, that they would recast after this. And just give like a clean slate. But I will say I truly enjoyed this movie just for the storyline, which is a storyline that most fans of the Flash are familiar with, and just the comic book accuracy of the costumes themselves was just, it was in a sense a love letter to a lot of the fans. Yeah, yeah, and it felt like at some point too, like the movie didn't take itself too seriously, right? Like the way the opening credits were with the title card, it was like the Flash, and it's like, oh my god, are you the Flash? And then it like kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, and then it redid it again. You know what I'm saying? Like it had its moments. Um, I enjoyed it. What I wish they would have done, given us a Reverse Flash or an actual Black Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Because you mess with the timeline, you're asking for a Black Flash on your ass, right? And I wish, yeah, they should have just done it without Ezra. Unfortunately, while he was holding Hawaii hostage, no one was like, "Hey, maybe we should." Anyway, Matt, what'd you think overall? How would you rate it?
um, Considering everything, I would probably give it like 7.5, 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
Like there's always going to be hiccups, but I thought as far as storytelling, execution of storytelling and stuff like that, everything made sense. All the parts moved together where I was never like, well, that's dumb. I like the representation of Flash's powers, being able to see the Speed Force. I don't know where I rank like his Speed Force scenes, like especially like that opening credits one, because
yeah.
Days of Futures Past is goated, man, for that scene alone. For the
Huh. Quicksilver.
uh yeah, for the Quicksilver. So, but I thought this scene was up there showing the speed that he sees things and how fast that he, really goes, and even them poking fun at the way that he has to act out the run, like
Yeah,
when he's throwing his arms forward. I thought that was
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Using the Speed Force lightning, being able to make a Speed Force tornado,
yeah.
phasing and shit. It was like all the shit that we haven't necessarily seen Flash do in
Live
cinematics at
action.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah. I thought was cool because like at the end of the day, and you know this the same way I do, like Flash is not just like, oh, he's fast. Like,
no, he's
no,
damn
it's
near
way more like
god
he's
tier.
yeah, I mean, it was in I was just talking to somebody like in Tower, I want to say it was Tower of Babel or something like that. It was like where they go through like Batman's notes on the Justice League. It's like the second most dangerous guy there is Flash.
Right.
It was just like, it's just the fact that you don't have to worry about Flash losing his mind, but like he can really just be like, I'll just go back in time and I'll be your dad.
Right.
Then I'll just fuck all this up. Like, but no, man, I just give it a 7.5, 8. I give it 8. I give it 8 out of 10. Fuck it. I give it 8.
I'd give it like a 7, 7.5, only because Ezra Miller. I feel like if it sucks because their performance as both Barrys was crazy good. Like those
Mm-hmm.
scenes where they're literally talking to themselves, teaching themselves, training themselves up. It was good. It was like Tom Hardy being forced to act with just his eyes. You know, like on to
Mm-hmm.
a certain degree, it was the interplay was good, dude. But again, the outside stuff is like kind of overshadowing the film. And but I'm not gonna lie, I'd buy the DVD, I'd buy the Blu-ray. I'll tell you that much. It was good. Yeah, I'll give it like I'll say 7.5, 7.5.
I'm gonna ride with you on that. We gonna lock in 7.5.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. I thought it was cool overall. Any final thoughts?
Go see it if you haven't. It's a good time.
It definitely is a
It
fun
actually
movie.
it really is a
Like
good
it's
time.
fun. Do you know what? I'll say this. It felt like everything the CW had been trying to do with Flash,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
but like done correctly and not cheesy as shit.
Oh my
You know
goodness.
what I'm saying? Like
I know exactly what you're saying.
it's
Oh,
just
I
like,
also like
see,
they made Nora Hispanic or Latina. I should say that
mm-hmm.
the correct term. I thought that was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, they switched that up. I thought that was cool too. I
Yeah.
did appreciate that. I will say this last thing though. I was just like, oh, my dad's exonerated and all that. It's like you still didn't fucking learn, man. Like you weren't even supposed to move the fucking tomato
Yeah.
cans. You're
Yeah.
not supposed to change anything.
Well,
You're not supposed to do shit.
I think that was the thing with like Clooney coming out and the tooth falling out. I
Yeah.
was like, you still kind of fucked up.
Yeah. When he did that, I was just like, dummy,
Right, right.
dummy.
Yeah.
And he was like, you didn't learn anything. You just went through that whole thing and then still did it again. And it was
Right.
like, great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on that note, take us out, bro.
Thank you guys for rocking with us. This has been another YouTube review from the Now Mind You podcast, another movie review, if you will, of The Flash. I damn near forgot what the full title of it was because it changed so many times. But this was our review of The Flash. Thank you guys for rocking with us. You can find all of us at social media at our own personal accounts. You can find me at Matt Hambrick. That's MATTHAMBRIC. Where can they find you, TJ?
Y'all can find me on Instagram at Tuss4Skate. That's TUSS4__SKATE. And you guys can find Bryce at Ashe_Onta. That's AXE_ONCA.
Hey,
Bay on the gram.
And you can follow us at Now Mind You Podcast, wherever you like to get your social media and wherever you like to get your podcast. And right here on YouTube where you are right now. Thank you guys so much. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.